What's going on, guys? My name's Tom from Dreadlabs, and today we're gonna dive into some chrome effects again.
Dreadlabs.
So before we start today, I just wanted to say that the style that I'm gonna explore today is heavily inspired by this guy on Instagram. He's called well, I'm not sure if it's a he or a she, but the IG is Devilspointdesigns. I'll put a link up in the description because I don't want this video to look like I'm stealing this style without any with claiming like I invented this or something. I'm just curious to see if I can replicate this style a bit and see if I learn something in the process or teach you guys something along the way. Anyway, let's get started. So I just want to pick out a font first. So we'll grab one that we used in the first Chrome type tutorial, where we are working in Illustrator now, by the way. And I think we're gonna drag it into Photoshop later. Anyway, this is not typed correctly. All right, and now we're gonna take another font and, well, let's see. All right, so we're gonna take a bit more of a thick type in the bottom here. Let's see, let's use a font that we haven't used before. Maybe this one. Creative Hub. So I'm actually not sure if it's actually done in 3D or not, but I'm just gonna try in Illustrator. So let's just create outlines for these. And let's start with the bottom text one. So what I think that he has done is we're gonna go to Object, Path, Offset Path, and we're gonna take an offset of 10 pixels. So now we basically have an edge around our bottom text here. So let's just group this and take it out of the layer menu here on the right. So now we have a group below our original text. And I'm just gonna flatten this so it's a bit easier to work with. And to make it a bit easier for us, I'm gonna recolor the front text in here, and we're gonna do the same with the top text here. And we're gonna make the middle text in here the same color. All right, so what I want to do now is I have these back texts here and I want to flatten them and create a compound path with them, and the same goes for the other one. And I see that there's like a bit of a part missing here, so I'm just gonna patch that up real quick. Like this. See if we can have any other inconsistencies in here. I don't think so. All right. So the next step, I think, will be grabbing the back parts here and press Command C, Command B, which will paste another version behind it. And if we move this down a bit and scale it down a little bit more, like so, you can kind of see that it's already starting to look like a shadow. Some people might have already guessed what we're going to do here, because we're going to make a blend. So we're going to select both of these in the back and then go to our blend tool. And for now, I'm just going to lock this one because otherwise it will interfere in our blend tool. But now that we clicked it, we made a blend. And a blend is basically a transition between two shapes. So we have the back shape here and the top shape in here, and everything in between will be the blend. And it's a bit easier to see if I change the color from this one to red. Now you can get this crazy 3D shadow part with a color fade, which already like kind of can look like the effect that we want to achieve. So let me just do the same thing with the bottom text here. So we're gonna copy it, paste it behind. Make sure that it's that you reposition it and scale it down just a little bit, and Then we're gonna lock the front text here, and we're gonna select both of them, and blending it in again. And to make the actual blend, start making it do a color fade, select the color. And as you can see, the blend options here aren't really what we want it to be, because there's only one step. So what we can do is I'm gonna go to specified steps, and we can press 100, for example, which will give us 100 steps in the transition here. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is, I think I'm gonna position this correctly, how I want it to be. So I want this to go down and scale down just a little bit further. And then I want to grab this whole group in the front here, bring it up just a bit, and bring this down like so. And now I want to recolor these first a bit properly, so the fades will be good to go, and then I'm going to bring them in Photoshop. So what I want to do is I want to grab this one and make it a little bit of a lighter blue. And then for this one, I kind of want to have a more cyan color like this. So now I want to export these. So the first one, so what I want to do is I'm going to select the blend, and just to make sure that I don't, if I have to edit these later, I always copy them first. So let's just make a copy and paste it behind, and we can hide this one. So we'll name this copy. So we're going to select the blend that we want to like kind of rasterize. So we're going to go to Object, Blend, and then Expand. And now we have this group, basically, which is our original blend. So we'll call this blend. And we're going to do the same thing for the one on the top here. So select the blend, press Command C, Command B, rename this one copy and hide it. And select this one, go to Object, Blend, Expand. And because we entered 100 steps in here, you can kind of already see the 100 steps being in here. Anyway, let's just go to Photoshop and select the first blend and paste it in as a smart object. This might take a while. Alright, same goes for the other one. Paste it in as a smart object. Paste our text in as well. So we're going to paste Creative Hub in. And the color doesn't really matter at this point because we're going to recolor it anyway. And then we're going to paste this one in as well. So now I want to make sure that the text is properly aligned. So like this. And select the bottom two ones. Bring them to the front because they should be in front of the other, the larger one. And there we go. All right. So now I just want to make the background black so it'll be a bit more visible. And let's just hide the bottom ones here first and get started on the Dreadlabs one. So for now I want to go and take an inner glow, and I've reset all of the values so you guys can follow my steps here. Firstly, I want to do a gradient overlay, and I want to make the gradient, I think, something along the lines of magenta and red/blue, somewhere along those lines. A bit more towards the blue side, I think. Something like this. Then I want to create an inner glow and put the opacity to 100 and the color to normal for now. Okay, let's just select this one first. And take the black one and make it, I think, magenta or red, something along those lines. And then this one should be, let's take orange, a bit of an orange color, like this. Alright, so I put the blend mode to color, the source to center, and the size to about 21 pixels. And now we're gonna go and add a bevel and emboss, and I'll just reset these to default as well. And the first thing I want to do is make the gloss contour a ring, and then add the opacity of the highlight a bit, make it a bit higher. Change the angle of the highlight a bit towards something like this. Then I want to leave this size about here, and then increase the shadow just a little bit. And then we can soften it up just ever so slightly to make this transition here a bit more smooth between the shadows and the actual color. Now I want to duplicate this, clear the layer styles, remove the fill, and add another bevel and emboss. And now I want to increase the size a bit more and reduce the opacity of the shadows. So now that we have a bit more highlights in here, as you can see, a bit more of that 3D effect. Alright, so what I want to do now is just need to take a look at my reference for a bit. Alright, so one thing I still want to do is going to go back into Illustrator, and the blend that we made in the first place, I want to grab the top one. So this is actually the biggest outline part of this. If you select this one, it will go a step down. So I want to take the top one here, copy it, and bring it in Photoshop as well. And to make it easier on ourselves, we're going to rename this Dreadlabs bevel emboss Dreadlabs main, and go bring this one in, and we're going to rename this to Dreadlabs outline. I'm going to go place it into the back, and we're going to align it with our main text here. And if you're not really seeing what we're doing here, I'll just remove the text here and the blend, and you can see that there's another one. Now you can see that there's an outline here. And what I want to do is I want to select my Dreadlabs main again by pressing Command and Control. And now I want to hold Alt or Option and masking this. So what just happened is this: if I remove the text, I just basically made an outline of my text. And now we're gonna add a bevel and emboss again, a bit smaller this time. And I think I want to add a little bit of a white/gray overlay, so I just want to remove the saturation on this one. And then I think I want to make it reflected, so there's a top and a bottom here. And then I want to add an inner shadow, and I'm going to reset this to default again, remove the distance, add a bit of size, about 10 pixels, and then add some choke. And then I want to up the opacity just a little bit, so you can actually see a bit more shadow here. And if you want to color this, I would go and grab the gradient overlay and give this a bit more color. And I might just do that right now. A bit more of a bluish color might be good. Like so. Alright. So now that we have this, so now we can get started on the actual blend here. And let me see. So for this one, I would also go and grab a bevel and emboss, and I would maybe lower the opacity of the highlights a bit and add the shadows a bit better. And because there's quite some light in here, I would probably darken it a bit as well. So I would add a gradient overlay from black to white, and let's just set it to overlay and then to linear, like this. And I think it's still a bit too dark, so I'm just going to grab a color overlay, make it black, and then reduce the opacity a bit, like this. And in the bevel and emboss section, I'm going to remove the soften here and add a bit of depth. Alright, so now we're done with this, and now I'm going to grab our second text here. So I'm going to just group this and name it Dreadlabs. And then so I'm gonna do the same thing here. So I'm gonna go and copy my Dreadlabs main here, paste the layer style, but for this one I want to go into my gradient overlay and play around with it a bit. So I'm gonna grab a orange color here and convert this to purple, maybe. And then in my inner glow, let's see what happens if I lower the opacity. This transition could be a bit smoother, like this. I feel like there's a bit too many colors going on, so I'm going to remove this one to here. And I'm going to add a bit of saturation to this color here as well, like this. And bring it in just a little bit towards about here. Yeah, this should be fine. And I want to add a bit of inner shadow, I think. So reset this to default, remove the distance, and choke it up a bit higher, the opacity. Then duplicate this one again. I'm just going to rename this to Creative Hub Main. Then remove the layer styles from the top one and name this Creative Hub Bevel and Emboss. Remove the fill on this one and add a bevel and emboss again. Without the soften, add a bit more depth, I think, and up the size ever so slightly, and reduce the shadow and up the highlight like this. And here it goes the same. We need an outline of this text here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in Illustrator, grab the top blend here, and grab the top text of this blend, paste it in as a smart object, make sure it aligns with our main Creative Hub text, and put it to the back here. And just to work a bit quicker, I'm going to copy this one of the outline and paste it in. And as you can see, there's not really like a proper edge going on, and you might like this or you might not like this, and the way you can fix this is with the mask here. So if I select the layer on top here and hold Alt or Option while masking this, you can see that the bevel and emboss here is going around the edge here, and if you remove it, it will go straight to here. So that's basically what you prefer, but I feel like this is a bit better detailed. So Creative Hub outline, and then the blend. And I think I'm going to copy the layer settings for the blend here, like this. And I feel like we've come a pretty far way, so I'm going to group this and call it Creative Hub. Okay, so another way to make a cool sharp lens flare is we're going to dive into Illustrator, and outside of our canvas here we can just make a star real quick by grabbing 4 circles and putting them in a position like this. Then make sure to get a rectangle tool and go to the center here and draw a rectangle from center on the top left to the center of the bottom right, like so. And by selecting the shape builder tool, cut off the excess shapes, which will leave you with this. And then we can go and grab our star tool, make sure it's 4-sided, and with command pressed, make sure that it's going pretty sharp like this. And now with this shape selected, rotate it 45 degrees like this. And I think you can resize this just a bit like so. Let's turn this white and go into Photoshop and paste it in. And I find that the box blur just gets the job a bit better, done a bit better. So with a radius of 10 pixels, you can get this lens flare. Let's just call this lens flare. And scale it down just a bit. Like here. Here. And just scale it down just a bit and rotate it so it will be more randomized. And put one here. And one here. Okay, and now we're going to merge these lens flares. All right, so now the only thing that remains is adding just a bit of subtle noise. And I can do this in one click by going to my actions and clicking on a noise texture. And if you want to learn how to do this, I suggest you take note of our Photoshop Actions tutorial. If not, I'm just going to show you how to do it without Photoshop Actions, and I'm going to click Shift Backspace, which will bring up the Fill menu. Take a 50% gray, and then go to Filter, Noise, Add Noise, and we're just going to add a subtle amount of 5%. And then we're going to bring this to Overlay, which will give off this super subtle noise effect, which will give this pretty cool Devilspointdesigns inspired logo type in about, let's see, in about 30 minutes. So I didn't explore this up front, I just did it on the spot, and I think like to think it went pretty well. If I would go back into this, I would try to change up these edges here between the letters, to make it feel a bit more cut out as in 3D, as well as liquefying the gradients here. But anyway, that might be for another video in the future. For now, I just want to thank you for watching, and I hope you feel inspired and you learned something today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.